Hi, welcome back. So now that you are familiar with what the terminal is, we're going to start moving forward and learning some commands. And the first command that we're going to learn, and probably the most important, is the cd or change directory command. So I have my Unix shell, my Ubuntu terminal open. You can use whatever terminal you want as long as it's not command prompt or PowerShell. You can use PowerShell for the time being, but when we get to some of the later videos, I'll explain some problems with it. Mac or Linux, you can go ahead and use your native terminals. Windows, I recommend you follow the installation video and get this terminal here. Alright, so let's start with what cd is. So there's a command, and it's probably one of the most useful commands, called cd or change directory. And as we talked about paths in the last video, I think it's important that we know what cd does, and it pretty much allows you to change between your files. So it allows you to move forward, move backwards, and you can even go to direct paths. So instead of moving forwards and backwards by one step, you can go directly to some other path very far away in maybe a different drive or something similar to that. So I'm going to explain all of the variations of the cd command. But if you want to know the basic way to type, or the basic cd command, it's pretty much cd, and then you type the name of your path. So this could be some absolute path. So for example, I showed you in the last video, you could, copy the path directly from your Windows File Explorer and paste it in. Obviously that won't work because of the whole Ubuntu situation. But you can copy absolute paths and then just paste them in and go straight to them. The second way is to cd directly into a folder. So you can type the name of a folder inside of the path you're currently in. So right now, basically I'm just going to create a little folder here. You don't need to know how the command works or anything. I'm just going to create a random folder. And now I can actually cd into that random folder. So let's say I have some important files in there, or I'm trying to get to my Git directory from the terminal. So I'm going to show you how to do that. You just type cd and then random folder. Now, instead of typing the whole thing out, if you type just part of the word, it is case sensitive, so watch out for that. If you type out just part of the word and click tab, it will auto-complete it for you. So that's just one really useful trick. And now you can see that we have this character / random folder. So this is our path. We have the default directory, and inside the default directory is our random folder. So now that we're inside of the folder, we can run whatever commands we want. But let's say we're in maybe a folder inside of our project containing maybe libraries or source code, or something that we don't want to use because we're finished with it. So maybe we made a few commits, made a few changes. Now we want to cd out. So how do you do that? Now, one way to do it, obviously, you can just type cd and then your default path directory. Remember, we're following the rule of cd and then your path. And you could do that and it would just take you back. But what if you're maybe 3, 4, 5 levels deep? So one of the easiest ways to go back, and instead of, maybe going back to the start and then going forward 4, is just to type cd ... What this will do is take you back a level. So here you can see we're in /home. So this is the home directory of your Ubuntu operating system. So now that we're here, we can go forward or backward as far as we want. So I'm going to do cd ... again, cd ... and remember, / is the top level terminal. So top level directory. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So when you get here to /, what this is pretty much saying is you're at the highest level. Usually it would be your C drive on maybe PowerShell or command prompt, or if you're using Mac or Linux, that would be your home drive where your operating system is installed. So you can't really do anything from there except go forward. So you can do that perfectly. And what if I wanted to go maybe from my root here directly to random folder? Now, one way I could do this is cd, and then I can, go forward each time. So I want to go cd home, and then I want to go into cd, then I want to go into my, my default directory, and then I want to go from there into my random folder. You can see there's a lot of steps involved. Now, what if we don't want to do that? One easy way to skip this whole part, and I'm just going to go cd /, is to go directly to our directory, the one that we want, just through an absolute path. So you can see one of the ways to do this is by using cd/, and what that does is take us all the way back to our top level directory. So you can see I went straight from our random folder from here straight up to our home directory without having to do cd ... cd ... That is an example of an absolute path. But it doesn't really give the example, or it doesn't really show what an absolute path looks like. So I'm going to show you how most absolute paths would look like for you. So what you would do is, for example, cd, and then you would go into whatever folder you want to use. So I'm just going to start with my default directory, /random folder, /. And that will take me directly from the top level to the random folder. And obviously I skipped my home directory here, but you get the idea. And you can do this as many times as you want. I'm just going to show you what it looks like. So let's say I go into my desktop here, folders, projects, my website. You can see this here is an absolute path. And it would look a little bit different, but I'm just going to show you how I can get directly into my folder here from the terminal. So this is a little trick that you can use, and I explained a little bit about it in the last video, but pretty much what happens is we're inside the Ubuntu operating system, so we can't interact with our Windows OS without doing a little bit of editing to our paths. So I'm going to do cd/ firstly, and now what I'm going to do is change directly from here into our website folder that I created. So I'm going to type out cd, and if you want to paste something, you can't just do Control-V. It doesn't work like that. You have to right click, and now all you have to do, you see I can't really do this, because if I do this, it's going to give me an error. So what do I want to do? And obviously this is the incorrect error, but what do I want to do here? How do I fix this? So I'm going to do cd, and then I'm going to right click to paste it, and I'm just going to go straight into my projects folder like that. So what I want to do instead is start at the top level directory. So I'm going to do / and then mnt. So this stands for mount. So this is things that are mounted into our Ubuntu operating system, / and then the letter of your drive. In this case, it's C, /. And then from there, you can go straight into your folders. So I'm going to go and do that. And you can see there's a little bit of an error, and you can tinker a little bit, but pretty much what this allows you to do is go straight into your mount folder. So into your Windows drive. So from your Ubuntu terminal, from your Ubuntu operating system, you can go backwards and then forwards into your Windows drive. So I'm just going to do a little command here, and I'm going to go into my mount, and then I'm going to cd into C. So you can see there, don't worry about the ls command for now, but once we get to the top level, we can go straight into our mount directory, and from there we can select our drive, which is C, and then from there we can go and do whatever we want. So you can see everything is starting to look a little bit familiar now, program files, users, things like that. So I'm going to cd into users, and remember it is case sensitive when you tab out, so that's just a little warning. So now I'm going to cd into my directory there. And then from there, I can go into my desktop, for example, and then I can go into my folders, and you get the idea. So once you get used to it and you use it a little bit, you will start to, get the feel for using the terminal after a while, and you'll be able to do this really quickly. You can write 3 commands in a second. So just go ahead, open up your terminal and get some practice with the cd command and just messing around, go up and down paths, do all of that. And so you can just get a feel for how it works. So that's one thing you should do after this video ends. So now that we've learned cd, we're going to move on to some of the more specific commands, because cd is one of the top level important commands. So now we're going to move on to some more important stuff. So for example, creating and removing files. Alright, so I recommend you go ahead and get some practice with your cd command off video. So go open your terminal, just start playing around with cd, make paths, things like that. You can totally do that through your file explorer for now, because we haven't learned how to add and remove directories. But for now, all you have to take away from this video is CD and how the general rule works. So CD and then your path. You also have to know how to get into your Windows drive. So you want to go to your top level and then into Mount and then into C. And from there, you can go into your users and then your user, and then you can access everything that you want from there. All right, let's move on.